Welcome to the 2024 Winter Classic Student Cluster Competition Studio Update Show. Now, here are your hosts, Dan Olds and Addison Snell.
Welcome back, Dan Olds again. 2024 Winter Classic Invitational Student Cluster Competition. We're getting through it, and we're going to have a treat today by interviewing one of our best mentors, and you've probably heard of them. It's the folks at Oak Ridge National Lab. And this was a very interesting application, but let's go ahead and meet them first. Veronica, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Thanks, Dan, for having us. So we're back for the third time, Winter Classic, and my name is Veronica Melissa Vergara. I'm the section head for HPC operations at the Oak Ridge Leadership Computing Facility. And we've been helping with the challenge for the last 3 years. So it'd be, we were always happy to help, and hopefully the students had an awesome time with what we had to offer this year.
They did. Again, another curveball, but that's good. That's real life.
I think so.
Yeah, exactly. So, Dan Dietz, how are you? Good to see you again.
Hi, good to see you. Yeah, I'm Dan Dietz. I'm HPC engineer with the Oak Ridge National Lab. Excited to be back for the third year and help organize this competition.
Excellent, excellent. And we have a team in the other window. Please, go ahead.
Okay, hi, I'm Jens Glaser. I'm a computational scientist here at Oak Ridge, and this time it's my first participation as a mentor in the Winter Classic, and we had the pleasure to work together with the others on coming up with a challenge problem that should indeed be a challenge. And
my name is Maria, and I'm a postdoc researcher at Oak Ridge National Lab, and Jens is my mentor. And this is my first time I'm working with Veronica on this challenge, and it was really a pleasure to work with her.
Oh, and this was quite the challenge. And I guess one of the things I want to let you know, because I don't think you guys get this information, but I'm always asking the students when I interview them, did they even know that HPC was a thing before the competition? Most don't. Most, no, not really. But after the competition, after going through all this, I'm thinking about 70% or more want to make it their career. And that's direct impact from what you folks do and from the mentoring and the learning. And I think a lot of it's getting a feel for the community and how helpful everybody is. And how this isn't the hardest thing in the world. It can get pretty hard, but it's doable. It's attainable for them. And not to mention, if I'm right, they were running on sort of the mini-me of Frontier this year, right? With Ascend?
It was the mini summit.
Mini summit. Okay.
Yeah, summit.
Okay. Still not bad. And something they hadn't really had a chance to do before. How big of a configuration did they have to work with?
So Sun has 16 nodes. It's just like one cabinet, and it's not fully populated for Summit. But they could run up to that amount, plus minus whatever else was being run.
And they were all kind of just sharing that same group of nodes?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the application. What was it? How did it work?
I'll pass it over to Jens because he's there.
Jens.
the application that this time we came up with something that we thought was really in the direction of ongoing research that we do here at the center. And we wanted to give them the experience of delving into a research topic which they may not have any prior exposure before meeting us and meeting the challenge, and then figuring out what it means to learn about the field, the domain that this challenge problem applies to, and adapting in the face of adversarial or adversity in the form of technical challenges and bugs and error messages they encountered along the way to prevail across that valley of intimidating valley
and despair.
And despair, exactly. and finally make it to the point where they were able to suggest their own improvements and solution to a problem that they had just learned about. So this was really quite the challenge for them to make it to the finish line. And for this, they were actually doing something that I would qualify here as not only high performance computing, but actually high pressure computing, because they were under time pressure for 6 days. Some teams took it a little lightly, and they admitted to that in the report, and some teams were at 100% from the get-go. And so this was both a challenge that represents a scientific problem and one of a very real time pressure situation that is also not unheard of in research. Nope. So in that sense, we hope to get the very real feel, the real deal of a science application.
You definitely hit all of the marks on that. Absolutely. So what they were dealing with, if I have this right, it was along the lines of medical research discovering vaccines. Am I right or wrong?
That actually is the broad field. In this case, it was a problem situated in what we call drug discovery, which is arguably a discipline of biomedical research, but also combines with computational biology. Sure. Today also with machine learning, obviously, and with chemistry, chemical physics. So it's an interdisciplinary topic that leverages knowledge from these different fields and combine them with the goal to find a new therapeutic towards a disease. That's drug discovery. It includes finding prophylactics, in this case vaccines, but the typical problem that we gave them is to study the action of a small molecule binding to a larger protein like enzyme, which is the core process that needs to be understood when you want to design a new therapeutic from the start. So we were presented with this problem ourselves very, very urgently during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And for me, it was actually my experience I had as a researcher at the lab. So I tried to channel that or just share that with the students here to be in a situation where sometimes, some point in time, a pandemic occurs. You're not prepared. You have to find a new approach, response to that challenge, and you have not much time left to solve the problem. So this was a small simulation of that experience that we had ourselves as researchers, and so that's why we gave them a test set of molecules that also coincided with some SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19 therapeutics, among other things that included cancer-related enzymes and inhibitors, as well as these two categories broadly we gave them, and they were free to add their own data sets if they wished, and explore the biological realm of these molecules if they had not encountered any biological research prior to that. But they could also just take the data sets as they were and see if they could reproduce the solutions.
Wow, that is quite involved, significantly more so than HPCG. So this was a whole new world for them.
That's right, and I think some teams actually alluded to that in their responses, and I just want to quote from one of their write-ups. And so this team said, while it was important to be able to read about specifically what we were even doing with the models and understand the underlying biology behind the computations, even after reading all of the content and speaking together about what we had found from the papers, we weren't really having a good time connecting this information to where it plays a hand in optimizing the HPC side. So clearly some teams had their fair share of struggling. And if I may quote another team here,
Please.
just to of this team struggled with, on a slightly more positive note, they wrote, despite not having extensive experience with training neural networks, every member of our team was able to train the model and get valid results, cross-trained with additional data sets mentioned in the instructions, which we all consider a big win. 4 out of 5 of our members have never participated in the Winter Classic, and many of us have no HPC experience, so being able to get a valid run of the deep learning model on ORNL systems was a huge win for all of us.
Wow. That really is, that's huge. And the great thing about this and what you've given them is, as I advise them, it doesn't matter whether you won this thing or lost this thing or whatever. It's the experiences, the learning, and the stories that you can tell in an interview. When you get the inevitable question, what's the hardest thing what's the toughest technical problem you've faced? And rather than, reverting to talking about a classroom exercise, I can say, well, we were doing this thing. And, we were trying to build a neural network for the first time. And here's what we kept running into. And we were doing it on a smaller slice of the Summit supercomputer. And those kinds of anecdotes and stories tell the interviewer that you can work in teams, that you understand some of the technology, what you don't know, and you can take instruction and go deep. It just says so much, as opposed to, I got a B+ in this class and it was hard, that sort of thing. Anything interesting about what the students tried that maybe you weren't expecting?
Yeah, so we have several teams who scored pretty high in proposing new approaches, and among those approaches were some obvious improvements, like we gave them a baseline model that they could just run as they took it, and even if they just ran it and changed the parameter, they would be able to score a minimum amount. So we didn't want to make it too hard for them to submit anything. But then above that, we also trained that model in full floating point precision. So that was an easy improvement they could do. And we didn't tell them specifically you should do that, but we kind of hinted that, you can maybe look in that direction, maybe that direction in the slide that we gave them. And sure enough, most of the teams covered all of the directions collectively. And one of them was improving the performance by 90% using a mixed precision training algorithm, which utilizes tensor cores. And so while that may not seem particularly impressive from a technical viewpoint just by switching a parameter, but knowing that this gives you a 2x right out of the box is a useful learning experience.
And that must have encouraged them to really keep going, and that there's gold in there. You just have to find it and think about it and try it.
That's what the team, I think, experienced or should have experienced, and to also endeavor in these other directions that we gave them, like switch out the embeddings, try the hyperparameters, try different data and vocabulary tokenizer strategies. So they really went quite a ways to cover their bases, and they sometimes did not succeed in achieving that particular optimization, then they stated that in their summaries, and that led to a dead end. But sometimes they, as you said, they found gold, and then they were encouraged to further explore these optimizations. And maybe, do you remember any other significant optimizations they applied?
Like they have used different models. I don't remember the name of the models those. Maybe
we gave them different
like
protein
they were using
models.
BERT and regex, and they tried different models.
Right, and so they then came back with comments. Oh, well, by the way, we tried that. However, it didn't lead to very impressive results. So and so that showed their ability to judge the importance of optimizations. And sometimes it's also good to know what to achieve with minimal effort and what to leave for later optimizations. And so this balance of prioritization is something the teams actually managed quite well in this challenge. So we were impressed with many of the submissions.
Oh, good. Dan, did you see anything that caught your eye compared to last competitions?
I guess what always catches my eye every year is the teams that kind of surprise us, they find that gold, as James was saying. That's what kind of.
Was it something that you didn't anticipate, or is it kind of something you knew was there? You're going, yeah, that's it. Good job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Trying to find those things we know are there. And then also, sometimes they find things we don't know are there.
Very nice. Very nice. From looking at some of the scores, I think that probably a pretty big indicator to me is that the teams near the top are the ones that probably got started earliest on it.
That's a thing that we could not verify from their submissions, but there was a certain connection between the time they had to write the application brief and the thoroughness and completeness of that document, if I may phrase it that way.
Yeah.
It means that we had some pretty comprehensive write-ups, and we asked them to submit something that has sections that are grouped or organized like a research paper. So we gave them a little bit of a structure of a research paper, and some of the teams followed that structure and had many sections in their documents, and other teams just gave us the experience, how they felt about the challenge back to so that we can understand how they learned and what they learned. So there was a bit of both and the answers. And the team that scored highest did impress us with a very well thought out technical description of their work and the various things they tried. I think they tried 6 or 7 improvements or so, and most of them did not significantly change it, but they tried all the knobs, turning all the knobs that we gave them, and so they were unrelenting in their pursuit of getting the best value and the best performing model. So that's kind of the spirit that we were hoping to find.
That's great. And not posted yet, but when you get a chance, take a look at some of the interviews with these teams that I conduct. That particular team was a lot of fun to talk to, but they didn't really have much experience in the competition or this kind of setting, but a couple of them did have some solid HPC experience and will be excellent hires for whoever picks them up. So, go ahead.
No, so no pun and no double meaning intended. I completely understand that these candidates are excellent candidates on the job market when they are going on this job search. So we will be looking out for talents like the team members for sure, because it matters if you have had the chance to have hands-on experience with HPC when you actually first enter a national lab, for example. So this HPC experience is also something unique to the national lab context. And few new hires, a few new members of our teams have had the chance to have extensive exposure to HPC concepts. So whenever we hire someone, we looking for these qualifications.
It makes the difference.
But they're rare to find. So kudos to teams who actually succeed and improving their skills. And this goes a long way to improving your chances on the job market for sure.
And Veronica, I will be sending you the resume book as soon as it's all compiled. It's not so easy to drag some stuff out of these kids at times, but I know that a lot of them would be overjoyed just to talk to Oak Ridge.
Yeah, and we definitely have programs available both for folks that are still in school, like if they have summer internship programs, or if they're interested during the semester, we have a few programs that they can also work part-time remotely. So we'd definitely be interested in looking at the resumes and see if folks were interested in coming here or just doing a remote experience. It would be great. Because I think a lot of the students, like Jens was saying, even just looking at the Slack channel, the questions that they ask varied from okay, I'm not done HPC, but I have all these questions and I'm errors and I'm Googling. So you could tell that they were doing the legwork, not just giving up and be like, oh, I got an error, I'm going to go home. But they were trying, which is kind of what we look for.
It really is. And there are few universities that are really teaching HPC like they did before. That it seems in looking through course listings and things that over the years, it's gone towards the fashionable stuff. How to make an app, game design, which is pretty cool, but not everybody's going to be a game designer. But it's gone away from parallel programming and using MPI and things like that you used to see more often. But through your help and the other mentors and the competition, and we're finding that some of them are now building HPC labs like Morehouse. For instance, Santa Cruz now has multiple cluster competition teams that engage in different competitions. And I'm going to throw this in. One of my biggest dreams has been to actually get them somehow some hardware rack. Not a lot of nodes, something that they can have and that they can mess around with like they can't do in a cloud. You can't break a cloud. They won't let you do that. You can break your own hardware and then fix it and put different operating systems on all of that. And through TAC and Dan Stanzione, he gives that old stuff away. And I'm working to get more and more schools engaged with that.
And that's an excellent idea. It goes a long way to physically having some device in your hands that you know is able to compute. It's a little better than just a memory stick as a gimmick from a visit to the HPC data center. It's actually, so the first step is see what a GPU looks like, and knowing that you have to plug in that extra power cable, because otherwise you won't get any results out of that. Mm-hmm. And then plug it in your workstation and maybe feeling the heat that comes out of the fan at the back when you turn it on, or hearing the noise that it makes when you spin up the calculation. So these experiences are part of becoming a HPC buff.
Yes. Sue, thank you all for your time and your effort and in putting together a really good challenge. This time they've all been good, they've all been different, and none of them can be anticipated by the students. And that's great. And this one was so topical. So thank you for all of that. Hope to have you next year. Mark out your calendar.
Yeah, definitely counts us in. We're happy to help. And I think every time we've participated, we've always had students that reach out through other means, or they end up like connecting with us. And it's very nice to be able to see like them staying in HPC, because that's the whole point. Like they experience this and they actually decide to go to HPC, like you were saying earlier.
And we have some alumni at labs, Livermore, Sandia, a couple of others, plus some pretty hardcore private industry HPC folks, aerospace, and other things. So that's great. And you're a big part of it. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
We will talk to you again next year for sure, I hope. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching this episode of the 2024 Winter Classic Invitational Studio Update Show. For all the latest news on the competition, check out our official media partner, HPC Wire. We're also on social media at the handles above. Give us a follow. We'd love it. And please visit our website at www.winterclassinginvitational.com. Thank you to all the student teams, mentor organizations, and sponsors for making this competition possible. Stay tuned for more.